For the first time in over half a century, humans disappeared behind the moon. No signal, no sound, no connection to Earth, just 4 people, drifting through a silence so complete it almost didn't feel real. When pilot Victor Glover looked out the window, he didn't say it was terrifying. He didn't say it was beautiful. He said it felt like science fiction. And maybe that's the strangest part. Because this wasn't fiction. This was reality. Finally catching up to the stories we've been telling ourselves for decades. So what did they actually experience out there in the place where Earth disappears and something deeper begins? And why does it feel like we're only just beginning to understand it? On the 6th of April 2026, during the Artemis 2 mission, 4 astronauts passed behind the moon and vanished from Earth. For 40 minutes, there was no communication, no confirmation, no reassurance, just hollow quiet. And in that deafness, something shifted, not in space, but in us. You could hear it in their voices during the live-streamed portion before the blackout. Astronauts experiencing something profound up there, almost overwhelming, if not a little disorienting. So what really happened out there, and why did one astronaut describe it as science fiction? Have we felt the light change at 252,000 plus miles away from Earth? Nobody has. Have you seen its ambient color? So scientists can only speculate. They experienced being bathed in that light, traveling farther than any humans ever. Yes, they reported that. The light is different far out there in the expanse. It changes. When the Orion spacecraft slipped behind the moon, Earth lost contact instantly. This is expected physics. The moon blocks signals. But psychologically, it's the most isolated humans have been in over 50 years. But knowing that and experiencing it are not the same. For the astronauts who captured most of the gorgeous moon photography you are now seeing, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen, humans aren't used to being that far away. Even trained astronauts can feel a sense of detachment from Earth, altered perception of distance and time, a kind of quiet awe that's hard to put into words. No voices from mission control, no background chatter, no invisible tether to Earth, just distance. So far out, they bumped into a solar eclipse back there. Got amazing photos. No one on Earth could see it. They may have been the only ones in the universe to see it with their own eyes. This full moon to sun solar eclipse. Like living in a different dimension. Despite being face to face with the sun's corona, there's something about silence in space that is better explained by science. It isn't just quiet, it's absence. On Earth, silence is never total. There's always wind, breath, life. But behind the moon, there is nothing. No atmosphere, no sound, no signal. And for those 40 minutes, the astronauts weren't just alone. They were isolated. Imagine realizing, if something goes wrong right now, no one can hear you. You're in the universe with your crew all alone. Carl Sagan's words come to mind. Seeing all that darkness around the only home they've known. Earth as the pale blue dot. That awareness changes something inside you. As they passed the far side, they saw something unexpected. Flashes, small bursts of light, flickering across the surface of the moon. Scientists later confirmed what they were. Micrometeorite, tiny fragments of space rock striking the lunar surface at incredible speeds. On Earth, they would burn up in the atmosphere, but the moon has no atmosphere, so you can see the impact. Still imagine seeing that with your own eyes, a completely silent, airless world, suddenly blinking. Christina Cook said it looked like the moon was a lampshade with hundreds of pinpricks filled with light. Illumination appears where nothing should move. Over 50 years ago, crew members from Apollo, flying on a different darkside trajectory, also described seeing lights dotting the surface of the far side. They are described as campfires in documents. During Artemis 1, which had no humans on board, people online pointed to floating objects outside the capsule and strange lights or reflections, later explained as insulation fragments, ice particles, and sunlight reflections. One morning, the crew woke up to a pre-recorded message delivered by Houston. It was Apollo 8 astronaut Jim Lovell, who passed away last year. He knew how unreal the flyby is and wanted to record a message for Artemis, 2 astronauts. He did it 2 years before the mission came together, but it was perfect timing for the astronauts. Quote, "Welcome to my old neighborhood," he says. In the message, Lovell mentions each astronaut by name as adds, "I am proud to pass the torch to you. Don't forget to enjoy the view." End quote. Timed with an Earthrise, they then saw Earth like this. Integrity took the same photo, inspiring a whole new generation. Small, fragile, alone. From that far away, borders disappear, noise disappears, urgency disappears. What's left is something quieter. Seeing Earthrise from the far side, viewing massive basins like Orion and Hertzsprung, experiencing a total solar eclipse from lunar space was too much for a human to experience, one of the crew said to Mission Control. Everything we've ever known is contained in that tiny sphere. Every person, every story, every moment, and you're no longer inside it. You're somewhere else, observing it, and you only have your crew to rely on. Commander Weisman would later say, the astronauts launched as friends and came back as best friends, that if they had a lander, they felt the urge to ride all over the surface of the far side. Pilot Victor Glover said the lunar far side felt like science fiction, looking back as they peeked toward the near side again, back in communication with Houston. We don't think he was talking about aliens. This is not to say that if you saw floating lights, it wasn't space debris or satellites. If they saw something like a UFO, like I did, nobody would say a thing. Anyway, the astronauts' assigned work area is known for its high mountain peaks, highlands, and deep craters and canyons. Victor noted the various colors of the landscape. Recently, scientists detected something so large under the surface that it would fill at least a football field. These types of investigations are future moon landings. From Orion's Integrity coasting altitude around that side, ranging from 4,000 to 6,000 miles, there are canyons so deep you can't see the bottom. One canyon is twice the size of the Grand Canyon. Shadowed cracks, dips, and hills, dark regolith with precious oxygen and hydrogen. Crooked structures, black crevices that had the human eye searching to translate. NASA's study of permanently shadowed regions near the lunar South Pole shows that there is a lot more water ice on the moon than previously thought. The mission exemplified perspective. Even the science department at Houston were embuillient with every description radioed from Integrity when they were still within range. During this live stream, one PhD would look at another in disbelief, another shaking her head as she anxiously asked follow-up questions from Houston. As Integrity called Houston science over and over, the geologists in the room were clearly giddy understanding what these descriptions meant, perhaps changing science for good. Lunar geologists provided astronauts basic geology training in Iceland and base camp, so they could interpret what they were looking at. Seeing the far side with human eyes adds a deep dimension and physical reality to it, making it seem more like a place we can explore and discover, said one of the scientists. This time, the crew could see the entire moon disk at once from the Orion's altitude. Everybody wanted to speak to that Artemis crew, but for 40 minutes, it was only the 4 of them, bonded, break time, and a bunch of ceremonial homemade maple cookies, a contribution from the Canadian specialist, Jeremy. It was his first time in space. No International Space Station time, like the other 3. They got back to work quickly, documenting and describing on video the far side points of interest from a list. Not a lot of time to take in true solitude. eyes glued to windows. Later, they would catch a solar eclipse, and always static on the radios. For decades, deep space has lived in our imagination, in movies, books, dreams. We weren't meant to be out there, not recently, anyway. So when reality finally caught up, when humans returned to that environment, it didn't feel normal. It felt like stepping into a story we've been telling ourselves for generations. During Apollo missions, astronauts sometimes described unexplained lights, objects pacing the spacecraft. These were later attributed to jettisoned rocket parts and space debris traveling at similar velocity. The Artemis missions had no confirmed UFO or anomaly reports that we know of, but they did experience things that feel unusual if you're hearing about them secondhand. No unknown objects, no hidden structures, no classified encounters. That defense allowed. And yet, something profound happened, because for 40 minutes, humanity was gone from itself, disconnected, unobserved, free-floating in the vastness. And maybe that's the real mystery. Not what's out there, but what happens to us when we leave everything behind. If this made you pause, if it made you feel something you can't quite explain, you're in the right place. Subscribe to where we don't just explore space, we explore what it means to be human within it.